Okay, so before we start, let's go over the circumstances of this video. I was just going to respond to this video that I found, but then I realized there was a part 2 and a part 3. And they're all only like 4 minutes each. I don't know why he didn't just make it into one video, unless he's just trying to milk views, which I think we know how likely that is. So if the footage in this video is a little jerky or a little or if there's weird cuts, that's why. It's because there's 3 videos being put together that I'm going to respond to all at once. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to order these 3 videos from worst to best in terms of which ones are the least honest. And I urge you to stick with this video for as long as you can, because it gets progressively worse. Worse in an entertaining way for you. It was worse in a miserable way for me. All right, let's get started. Part 1.
Today, I'm gonna discuss the 3 reasons why consoles are better than PC.
Just 3, if only that were true.
But if you're a PC fan, don't be upset because I'll be doing another video talking about why PC is better than consoles.
I love when channels do this. Like, oh, I'm going to lie about something for the next few minutes, but don't worry, because in a week, I'm going to lie about the opposite. Hey guys, Joe from Seattle here, and I just want to let you know that test tubes are a better transport device than skateboards. But if you're a skater boy, don't get salty, because next week I'm going to make another video about the other side of this heated debate. Like, it's just a stupid point. You arguing the opposite side doesn't mean that what you're saying now is correct, or people are just salty for calling you out for it. Also notice that he says like, oh, don't get upset because I'm going to prove the other side. But then he just made 2 more videos about the same topic. That's not disingenuous. I can't imagine what your motives were for that.
Now let's get started. Number 1, it's cheaper.
Oh, yeah, no, it's cheaper. Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Completely unrelated, external hard drives for the new Xbox are $220, and a lot of new games are going to be $70. And no, you cannot upgrade your current games to the PS5 for free. But yes, PC gaming is more expensive.
If you're going to buy a PC, you probably want to run your games at their recommended settings.
Which is not that hard to do, by the way. Recommended settings are usually gauged based on what hardware a lot of people have and what settings generally are acceptable, which is a subjective thing. Honestly, recommended settings are something that I never really understood. I understand minimum settings, but recommended, I mean, really just depends on the game, I guess.
Otherwise, your game might crash for no reason, you might have some frame drops, some things will just look weird, or you might face other potential problems.
Okay, and now I'm going to defend recommended settings after I just kind of dismiss them. If you're running a game at recommended settings and recommended hardware, it's very rare that it's just going to crash or jitter or you're going to get frame drops. If it's the recommended settings and the recommended hardware, it's going to run fine. I also feel like I have to immediately bring up the fact that these are settings that you can change and hardware that you can change. If a game comes out with frame drops or bad textures on console, well, fucking good luck with that. Have fun fixing it.
So for this argument, I will select one game and see how much it would cost to run it optimally.
Can you define optimally? Like, you were talking about recommended settings, but now you're saying optimally. Those are not interchangeable.
Let's take Modern Warfare 2019 as an example.
A game with hilariously bad performance on PC. What was that I said about being disingenuous? COD games are known for having really lazy ports with stupidly high recommended specs for PC, and performance that's just not very good because the PC ports are rushed and not condensed and not well developed. This is a terrible, terrible disingenuous example.
To run this game at its recommended settings, you will need AMD Ryzen 5 1600X processor, which is $257.99.
First of all, you don't need that processor. There's plenty of other equivalent processors. I don't feel like you actually understand this, because I was looking at your video list and these are the kinds of videos you make. So, shocker, you don't understand how this works. There's plenty of equivalent processors to this one, and also $260. That's brand new from Amazon. Like, if you're trying to gauge the prices of PC parts, Amazon is a terrible place to go for that. Yes, I've used screenshots of Amazon in the past for older parts, but for newer parts, like what you're doing, is not a good look. Go to Newegg or go to Part Picker. And why does it have to be new? It doesn't have to be new. But don't worry, we'll just keep on going along with this.
You will also need AMD Radeon RX 580, which is $169.99.
Again, there's equivalent video cards to that are going to cost you less. So
you'll also need 12 gigabytes of RAM, but I only found 16 gigabytes, so it will cost you $90.
It'll take 12 gigs of RAM, but I'm going with 16, so it's more expensive. Nice.
So already, to run MW 2019, you will need a minimum of $517.98.
Damn, how much does a new console cost?
And that's without considering the cost of the motherboard, the storage, the power supply.
Jesus Christ, dude, your dings are way too loud. Holy shit.
The cooling system, the mouse and keyboard, the PC case, or anything else you might need to build your gaming PC.
I'm like taken aback. Like, I need to take a second. Holy shit. Yes, the guy who doesn't understand audio mixing is now going to tell us how to build a PC so we can run Modern Warfare at the recommended specs. Incredible. All of those parts you listed could have been bought cheaper. They could have been bought used. You could buy equivalents that are not as expensive. You didn't actually talk about any of these things. Also, you were talking about $500 as if it's some giant, incredible price tag. That's literally the price of the new consoles. And again, it's gonna get way more expensive next generation, so have fun with that. And again, you don't know anything about PC gaming, so you chose a game with notoriously high recommended specs as like a benchmark of PC gaming. You don't know what you're talking about. Just stop. But no, you didn't stop. You made 2 more videos after this one.
So yeah, if you want to run a game optimally at a budget, then you should get a gaming console.
Notice how he said if you want to run games optimally on a budget. If you want to run games optimally, then you're not going to be on a budget. You're either budget gaming or optimal gaming. It's 2 different things. You're just throwing buzzwords out and hoping they connect with each other.
Number 2, the games are more stable. I touched a little bit about this in the previous point, and that's the fact that console games are less likely to crash because they are very well optimized for the hardware.
You're saying this unironically. It's so sad. Oh my god. I can't believe in 2020 we're still bringing this point out. Like, do I have to even talk about recent console games that have run like ass? I'm literally just going to Google recent video game releases. Avengers, that ran like ass. NBA 2K21, that ran like ass. The Black Ops Cold War Alpha just went by, that ran like ass. Last of Us Part 2, that ran like ass. Fucking dislike, unsubscribe. I don't care. That game ran like ass. In fact, most Sony exclusives run like ass. It's just you don't realize it because you're just taking screenshots. Super Mario 3D All-Stars, that ran like ass. Which was extra depressing because those games are over 20 years old. I'm so tired of this idea that, like, console games are optimized for the hardware. No, they're optimized for shitty hardware. So the games don't run very well. I've said this a million times. A game that runs average on PC and average on console is going to run better on PC because the PC is just inherently better for gaming. You have more options with your settings. You can optimize these things yourself if the game isn't optimized very well for you. If a game runs like shit on console, you're out of luck. The game's just gonna run like shit. You gotta deal with that. Yes, there are more configurations of hardware on PC, but that's what the settings are for. That's what DirectX is for. It's so you can run these games at any number of setting combinations that you want to get the frame rates you want. Maybe you want better graphics and you want to sacrifice frame rate. Maybe you have strong enough hardware to get both of those the way that you want. And as for the last game to come out with like super terrible PC port, like all the games on PC run terribly. Can you give an example other than Arkham Knight? Because console fanboys still bring up Arkham Knight fucking 5 years later? This epidemic of bad PC ports, it's just not real.
Just to clarify, I'm not saying that consoles perform better than PC. I am saying that consoles are more stable than PCs.
Yeah, that's literally not true. Like, you're just throwing out buzzwords, but not actually explaining what you mean. Because these are buzzwords that you heard, and you're like, I know what that means. But you don't know what that means. So you're slapping buzzwords on situations where they're not applicable, and you're not explaining what you mean, and you're just brushing right past it. Oh, games on console are more stable. What does that mean? Because before, you were talking about frame drops. and bad textures. Is that what you define as stability? Because by that logic, then the consoles aren't stable either. Or are you talking about just crashes? Like we're just talking about game crashes. In which case the PC and console are probably even on game crashes. Like hard crashes are not something that commonly happen. If a game is prone to hard crashing, 99% of the time that's the developer's fault, not the hardware's fault.
So if you ask me, I would rather have a stable game that doesn't crash than having a game that looks awesome but crashes a lot.
And again, you don't give examples, you don't elaborate. God, we're not even done with the first video.
Now before we get to number 3, if you're enjoying this video so far,
Which I'm not. Maybe my audience is.
please consider subscribing. I upload short videos every day covering different gaming topics like this one. Now let's move on. So reason number 3, games are better supported.
No, console games are better supported. Completely unrelated, Left 4 Dead 2 just got a major update on PC. Left 4 Dead 2.
Let me explain this with a simple example. Let's assume that you are facing a problem running Modern Warfare 2019 with this setup like this guy.
Okay, why do you keep going back to Modern Warfare? Modern Warfare runs like ass on all platforms. It runs better on PC because, again, the hardware is just stronger on PC. But Modern Warfare runs like ass on everything. This is not a good, like, this isn't even me letting my biases get in front of me or anything. Like, literally, Modern Warfare is just a bad benchmark to be making this debate with.
Now, let's be honest. Is Infinity Ward going to care about this guy's problem? They might, but not likely. They haven't fully fixed the hacking issue, let alone caring about this guy's problem.
Yeah, and again, this is a developer side problem, not a hardware problem. You bring up this guy's specs, and then you bring up hacking. Like, what?
This case is very specific to this guy's setup, and there are millions of different setups out there.
It's another one of my favorite clueless console fanboy points.
Oh, there's millions of combinations of PC hardware out there. There's millions of combinations, so the games don't run very well.
Yeah, I would rather have a million different configurations so I can choose what parts I want based on my budget, based on my wants for games. I would much rather have that than a company tell me the one configuration I'm allowed to have.
So, in comparison, if there was a similar problem on the PS4, the game developers are more likely to look into it because a lot of people are using PS4s and every PS4 runs the exact same setup.
This is why Modern Warfare was just a bad example, because Infinity Ward doesn't give a shit about supporting this game. Like, at all. Every platform, they don't give a fuck. Like game crashes, server crashes, the cheating problem, that's on all platforms. Again, Modern Warfare is a bad benchmark for this debate, but you didn't look into that because that would take effort.
That's why consoles are better supported. Just to clarify, I'm not saying that console games don't crash or have any problems.
It's funny that you say you're not saying that because you definitely implied that like a minute ago. In your video. I don't know how many minutes ago in my video, because my videos actually have thought put into them.
What I'm saying is that those problems are better addressed on consoles than PCs.
Based on the evidence, I am clearly showing you. Wait.
Now, because I don't want this video to be too long, I will end things now and continue in a future video.
Alright, let's move on to part 2. Alright, here we go. 3 reasons why console gaming is better than PC gaming, part 2.
Number 4, the living room experience.
I can put my PC in my living room and hook it up to my TV with an HDMI cable. Like my PC literally is in my living room. Do you want a picture of it? Here. My PC is literally in my living room.
There's no question that consoles are designed to work perfectly with the TV in your living room.
No, the console's not designed to work perfectly with the TV. The console's designed to just project the image onto an output, be it a monitor or a TV. Like, what?
The operating systems of consoles are well optimized for a TV with big icons and simple navigation.
The size of the TV has nothing to do with the way the UI is optimized. The UI is just made as the UI. What are you talking about?
Kinda like navigating your TV with the remote control. The only difference is that you're using a gaming controller instead of a remote control.
I mean, I can use a gaming controller to navigate pretty much anything on my PC if I really wanted to. But also, again, I go back to the whole idea of choice. If you don't like the UI on the console, fucking tough titties. Meanwhile, I can make my desktop and my PC UI pretty much however I want it.
You can argue that you can do the same with a PC if you have a controller,
I mean, yeah, you can argue that because it's literally true.
but it's not very enticing to do so.
This is what I'm talking about. So many people do this. They bring up the opposing argument and then they just go like, nah. It's like you make a point, you bring up the opposing argument that disproves everything you just said, and then you just go, nah.
So let's assume that you bring your PC down to the living room.
Okay.
You hook your PC to your TV,
Okay.
you boot it up,
Okay.
you have your controller,
Okay.
you sit down on the couch,
Okay.
and you immediately realize that you need to go back upstairs to get your mouse.
I mean, did I forget my mouse? If I bring my PC somewhere, I'm gonna bring my mouse. Again, this sounds like a personal thing.
Because you can't navigate your PC using the controller.
I mean, I'm positive there are ways to do it if you really wanted to. Again, if your big takedown of the PC is, oh, you need a mouse to navigate it. Sheesh.
You see what I mean? It's not simple to have both the mouse and controller to just control your PC.
So controlling the UI with the controller, that's good, but controlling it with a mouse, that's not simple. You were so desperate for this video.
Not only that, you might want to adjust the scaling and resolution when you hook it up to your TV,
Oh, adjusting the resolution. Tell me more about adjusting resolution on a console.
because you don't want everything to be so small and unreadable. So again, I'm not saying that you can't play on a TV using a PC. I am saying that it's not optimized for that.
No, you don't like it. You can do it just fine, it's just you don't like it. And that's fine if you don't like it. But if your whole reasoning is you don't like it, why is it in this video? You're supposed to be some reputable gaming source. I think that's what you're going for. Looking at your channel, it seems like that's what you're going for. I still have another video and a half of yours to get through.
Number 5, it's more accessible.
I love the accessibility argument. Yeah, this limited ass platform is more accessible than the platform that literally everybody knows how to use. If you don't know how to use a computer, you're lying.
Let's assume that you want your friends to get into video games. It's a lot easier to just tell them to get a PS4, an Xbox, or a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, no, that's actually not true, and I can tell you why. I have a friend who asked me, hey, I want to get into gaming since we're all on lockdown and everything, and he lives in California. Fucking yikes. Have fun doing anything in California right now. He was like, I want to get into video games. What should I do? I have my laptop. What should I do to get into video games? And I said, oh, you should download Steam, make an account on Steam. And I gave him some game recommendations that he could play on his laptop. Stuff like Cuphead and Stardew Valley and Minecraft. And you know what? His heart grew 3 sizes that day. And also, he's a gamer now.
Rather than telling them to build or get a gaming PC from the millions of options and combinations that are in the market.
You seem to be under the impression that in order to play on PC, you have to have a top-end gaming PC. No, you just have to have a computer. It's nice to have a gaming PC, but you don't need one. Like I said, there's tons of popular games that don't need high specs to be run. World of Warcraft, Among Us, Minecraft, pretty much everything Valve makes, pretty much everything Riot makes. Like, you don't need crazy high specs to get into PC gaming. Again, it's nice to have high specs, but you don't need them. PC gaming is an extremely accessible hobby. If you can download a song off iTunes, you can get into PC gaming.
It's just easier. That is without considering the fact that your friends might be extremely dumb and have zero technical knowledge, or the person may not have the time or energy to look into the specs and numbers.
Yes, your tech illiterate friends are going to go out and buy a $400-$500 piece of hardware they've never used instead of just downloading a program on their computer that everyone knows how to use. And I know you said, like, oh, they don't know anything about tech. Look, if you don't know how to operate a computer, you're not going to know how to operate a console. Let's level with each other, okay?
So yeah, it's a lot more accessible to just get a gaming console.
It's really not. Like, it's just not. And nothing you said really made the point that it was.
Now, before we get to number 6, if you're enjoying this video so far,
I'm not. Maybe my audience is. Shit, I already made that joke.
so number 6, consoles just work.
Oh my god!
When you're using a console, you just expect your game to work.
Yeah, you expect it to work. Keyword expect.
You don't have to adjust any sort of settings to make sure that your game is running optimally.
Yeah, a lack of features is a good thing, guys. Trust me.
You don't have to go into your game settings to lower the graphic settings because your GPU can't run the game on high graphics.
Okay, let's take a look at the screenshot that he shows during this as an example of like overwhelming graphic settings. Look at these settings. I'm not trying to be like overly blunt or mean here, but there is literally nothing complicated about anything you're showing right now. This is the most basic settings menu you could ever ask for. And you're presenting it as if it's some like monumental thing that you have to go to a technical university to understand. Are technical universities a thing? I kind of just took two words and put them together. Kind of like what you've been doing for 2 videos now.
You don't have to change the resolution settings so that your game runs at a better frame rate.
Okay, most games will just automatically read the resolution your computer's already running at and put it on that. But if it doesn't do that, kablam, I just switch the resolution setting to whatever it is. And do I have to mention resolution settings don't exist on most console games? Yeah, allow me to go into the resolution settings of my Xbox games and just switch those up because I want a better frame rate.
You don't have to deal with any of that.
You don't have to deal with it. No, you don't have the option to deal with it. Everything you're listing right now are positive things. Settings are good. Options are good. You don't have these on console. It's not a hassle that's being kept from you. They're features that are being withheld from you.
Consoles just work.
They literally don't just work. How many games this generation have bricked consoles?
You might argue that people are dumb for not knowing to adjust these things, but that's the reality of it.
And I say it again, if you're too dumb to adjust settings that are really, really obvious, you're not going to be able to work a console either. That's just the way it is. You can't have it both ways. Either people are too dumb to maneuver settings menus, or they're smart enough to do it, and it's not actually that bad. Like, you have to pick a lane.
Most people don't want to deal with any of that. They just want something that works.
And if you just want something that works, why would you go to a console right now? If you want technical performance, what is the appeal of consoles right now over PC? All right, we're moving on to the third one, third and final. This is the longest one, 4 minutes and 47 seconds. Let's see if we can get through it.
So, reason A, PCs are bigger in volume.
Who fucking cares? You're digging so deep. Literally, who fucking cares?
So, a typical gaming PC case is generally way bigger than a gaming console.
Yeah, and that's usually for show. Most gaming PCs don't actually take up all the space in the case. A lot of it's just like for show or for lighting or if you want to expand in the future. The case that I have versus like the amount of stuff that's in it, I don't know, like it's probably taken up about like 60% of the available space in there. But I like it. It looks nice. A running theme of this video is options. You have a lot of options on PC. If you don't want to have a giant case, just don't buy a giant case.
So if we compare the volume of a typical gaming PC case with the normal PS4, you can see that the gaming PC is almost 8 times bigger than the PS4.
And 58.5 times stronger than the base PS4. Like literally who is buying a base PS4 right now?
And that's not considering the weight of the PC, so a quick Google search shows that a low-end gaming PC weighs in about 20 to 30 pounds.
Is that too much for you, fucking scrawny ass bit?
While the PS4 weighs in at only 6.2 pounds.
Oh, that should be perfect for you, you fucking scrawny.
And that's not considering the PS4, the slim model, which only weighs at 4.6 pounds.
Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't mean to be mean, but, like, literally, who cares about this? If you're looking at the weight and volume of your gaming machine, like, if that's actually going to be a deal breaker to you, like, what are you doing? Priorities. Seriously, where are the priorities?
So, in terms of volume, carrying one gaming PC is the equivalent of carrying 8 PS4s.
Damn, I didn't know I was that strong. Could enter the Olympics with this kind of strength. I got muscles on top of my muscles.
And in terms of weight, it is the equivalent of carrying 4 to 6 PS4 Slims.
That's nothing. I could carry like 50 PS4 Slims. Look at my muscles. Look at me. Look at me. How many PS4s can you fit in my mouth?
So that's the first argument. So reason B, carrying the keyboard and mouse.
If the keyboard and mouse leave your desk, you're doing it wrong.
If you are moving the PC, you must carry the keyboard and mouse with you.
If you're moving the console, you have to carry the controller with you. This is a stupid point, and I'm skipping it for your sake.
Reason C, PCs require a specific setup.
I have... What?
So with a console, you can set it up anywhere as long as there's power outlet and a display.
Yeah, and if you move your PC somewhere, you can put it anywhere there's a power outlet and a display. I think we have a new contender for worst in the trilogy. This is terrible. Like, this is actually terrible.
And since you will only use a controller to play, you don't really need anything extra to be able to play.
I'm sorry, aren't the new consoles pushing how mouse and keyboard support is like a thing now? I keep being told that the new consoles are amazing and groundbreaking because they have mouse and keyboard support, so you're gonna have to revise this video.
Because controllers can be used in any position. You can use the controller while standing, sitting on a chair or a couch, sitting on the floor, or even laying down if you want to do that.
This is just too stupid. I'm skipping ahead.
Now, as always, I have more things to say about why consoles are better than PC, but I'll save that for another video since I don't want this video to be too long.
Okay, so here's my ranking. I think the best of these 3 videos was actually the second one. Because the second one, you were vague and unhelpful, but you were being vague and unhelpful about non-specific things. It was still a bad video, but, you know, it was the least bad. Coming in at number 2 is the first video. See, this is where you were vague and unhelpful, but about things that are objectively one way or another. And that's usually not a good look. If you're going to be vague and unhelpful about things, you want to stay away from objective topics, which is what you didn't do here. But at number 1, the absolute worst video I think I've ever seen on this topic is part 3. I can't even think of more funny things to say. Honestly, this might be the worst thing I've ever seen. From the bottom of my heart, I'm looking into your eyes right now. This is the worst thing I've ever seen. If you want to make a part 4, you have my blessing. I'll be right here waiting. Give me that content. Give me that sweet, sweet content. I need it, okay? It's nice when people give me nice little underhand pitches like this. All right, well, anyways, if you stuck through it all the way and you're still here, you're pretty cool. You should go to Wendy's and get yourself a 4 for 4, because you deserve it. All right, follow me on Twitter and Twitch. There's a donation link down below if you really want to monetarily appreciate the things I do for you. You don't have to, though. Oh, boy. I'm going to go make a pork chop. Bye.